Good evening, everyone, and welcome to what promises to be an excellent episode of tonight's Whitewalkers Chat and Craic. I'm David Topping, Whitewaker 1. Joining me tonight, we've got Chris BROWNFIELD from the South Wales Ulster Rugby Supporters Club, and the Night King himself, Nigel QUIGLEY. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Topping. What about you, big man?
Well, as soon as I get my geography sorted out, I'll be grand. Tonight we're going to have an absolute cracker of a show. We've got Gregor GALWAY coming up to have a wee chat about Mixed Ability Rugby and join us for our big debate tonight. Also, we start with the big news. Dan McFarland has left Ulster, and we are due to have the Irish Under-20 Coach Richie MURPHY taking over. So we're going to be having a wee chat about that, having a wee bit of chat about where Ulster's going to go from here. And plus we'll have a look at the game against the Ospreys and all the events that happened there. So keep it here on Whitewalkers Chat and Craic. So now let's pack down, bind, and engage. Right, guys. Okay, well, let's start off then with usually with the team news. Obviously, after the Ospreys game, Henderson had an injury, and he'll be MIA for a week or two, I would think. But first of all,
dislocated toe, I believe.
Ooh, ouch!
That was early on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we'll look at all those in a little while, guys. But first of all, I do want to do a few wee shouts out. To Sorsha, and who's trying to sort out a mums only 7-a-side. So it's basically a sevens team, but they're all mums, and it's an absolutely fantastic idea. I only found this out during the week, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Now down below, they are doing a bit of crowdfunding, and I have it there on the ticker. So if you fancy donating a few lot of shillings to Sorsha and the gang there, it's going across the screen there at the bottom, and it'll always be here for you if you just need a wee look. It's an excellent idea, and I cannot wait to see that team get up and going. So from there, where do we go? We go to our under-20 team now. They were announced there, and we have 6 Ulster players appearing in the squad for that. Women's Six Nations. Their squad was announced, and again, we've got 6 representatives, I believe, on the squad, including Niamh Jones and Stephen McGrath. And it's great to see Ulster get a reasonable representation on the team. What do you think, guys?
I think it's down to 5 in the under-20s. I think if you check it,
down to 5 now.
Yeah, we've got 3 starting and 2 on the bench, I think. Who's starting? Young Ward starting. He seems to be becoming a mainstay in the back row. And who else? I can't think of the other name. I'm trying to think who's the big lad second row. Oh, the big cub is the second row. He's on starting, and I think we have a front row player starting. So yeah, not a bad representation really.
Yeah, definitely is.
Certainly better than the senior team, at least.
Well, now we'll put it the way now. Good job.
That's not a criticism, by the way. It's just an observation.
It is an observation, but no. Fair play to Stuart McCluskey, kept on the bench for the game this weekend against Wales. So
I think he's earned that, hasn't he? His performance. Yeah. Funny enough, we're switching around a bit here. The way he played against Italy last week, his role was very specific. In that he was the sort of fulcrum for the back line. It seemed to be going to him, and then he was crossing the line or going to the line and distributing the ball on. It was quite interesting how they used him actually last week, I thought. Yeah,
it was actually nice to see him. His offloading game again last week was absolutely back to top class. There was one particular as we're moving down the right side of the flank, and he was wrapped up. I think it was 3 players surrounded him. And he still got that big lanky arm over the top, got the ball off and released the attack. So he was back to his best in that way, and that's.
Thanks, Simon Carey. It's Joe Hopes was the big lock I was thinking of. Joe Hopes. sorry, Joe.
Here, I want to give another big shout out to probably the creator of the best shock I've seen in the Schools Cup this side of I don't know when. Sullivan Upper beating Methody in the quarterfinals there, earned themselves a wee semi-final run. Against Ballymena. And Wallace taking on Inst. I think the Inst Wallace game is on the 27th of February, with Ballymena and Sullivan Upper on the 28th. So, big shout out to them and all the best lads for the semis.
That certainly be classed as a giant kill, that couldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The thing is, we from memory, Methody were at home for that fixture against Sullivan. From memory.
Yes, they were.
We were turning over.
Yep. So it was really in the Lions Den there at Prairie Park. So definitely a big result. And I'll give a shout out to my old school, Enniskillen and Royal Grammar. They've done well to get into the quarters this year. Unfortunately, beaten by a well-drilled Wallace side down at the Eisenhower fields in Enniskillen. But it's been good to see the old school get back up and running again. With Mr. Finley there doing the training, but all in all, it's been an excellent couple of weeks of rugby, and some strange ones in between. So where do we go from here? We need to look at, and of course we have to give a shout out to Gerald Williamson and the AAL gang, because obviously, whilst we will more than likely concentrate on Ulster, the provincial side this time. We always will give a shout out to our AAL clubs, and if any of our clubs want to have a chat with us here on the show, get in touch with us, and we will make sure to have a good chat with you, and we'll see what we can do to promote the games that you're building.
I think in less strenuous times, should we say? Could we call it that? Probably we should. Yes. We will concentrate a bit more on AAL actually, and start looking at clubs. And by the way, for those that haven't been there yet. Runs a fantastic site. The AAL Rugby. What's it called? AAL Rugby. Oh, what's the full name of that? It's AAL Rugby on Facebook anyway, and it's the man's knowledge on club rugby in Ireland. I think is possibly unsurpassed. He's unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, so Craic, well, put it this way. Whenever we originally put this podcast on, a couple of years ago, I had a wee chat with Gerald just to make sure I got my facts right about Ulster before I started talking about it.
If you join that page and have a look through it, you'll see an item on every club in Ireland, North and South. History of what league they're in and how they've come around, how they've done. The information is fantastic. It's as I say, I would say unsurpassed. I've not spoken to anybody that seems to know more about AAL Rugby than Gerald. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the page is called AAL Rugby and Club Rugby. So have a wee look there on EOD Facebook, and you can fill your boots, as a man would say. Right. Well, here, what we'll do now is we'll introduce our special guest. He likes his mixed ability rugby. He likes his Ulster rugby. And we'll meet him now in just a moment. Let's get him through here. Mr. Gregor GALWAY. How are you, Gregor?
Good. Can I just say something about one of the topics? Okay, so basically that club that we were going to mention about Malone Tornadoes were playing in England. They were actually doing good charities. They're big up Rugby to Cancer. That's who the socks were for.
Oh, fantastic.
Say Malone Tornadoes beat, who was it? Some team up on Friday night. And they're playing against the Newport Dragons, Chris, who you'll know, Dragons All-Stars on their way before the Kingspan game. So get down and support them at that Gibson Park.
Absolutely. Do you know what day that is, Gregor?
The Saturday of the Ulster game, 4:15 off, I believe.
Right.
So 4:15 Gibson Park.
I'm just saying, get down and support them because they need
a few people on that for sure. Good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. We'll make sure to put that up on the ticker here, and we'll get it up after the show as well. So no problem, Gregor. We'll do that for you. Well, Gregor, yeah, the main reason we got you on here, obviously, there are two reasons, but the first one was with the mixed ability rugby invitational side.
Yeah.
They were in action then. Funny enough, on my birthday.
Yeah.
And if I had known, I tell you. It was just one of those things. birthdays and rugby never go well together. So
yes, David would have given up that big meal he went out for to go and watch rugby. Yes, of course he would have. Yeah.
I just want to add, it was in Bath, so it was. So just in case you were a bit confused why it's not in Ulster, they've already turned on Ulster Malone. So there.
Yeah, it was Bath indeed.
I was there, in fact.
Excellent. Well, what did you think of the game, Gregor?
Well, I'll just tell you a bit about the Maoris first off. So they're basically, as our rugby family will know, they're like the Barbarians, but they get your individual number, but you get to wear your club socks. So there was a few Ulster representatives in Bath. They lost, by the way. 22, 26, 22, the scores, I believe.
Oh,
to
fantastic.
The World Cup Warriors in Bath, Racing Ground.
Wow. I managed to try and find some bits of news on that, and you know what? It was an absolutely fantastic occasion. Certainly looking at the bits that I found out after the head disappeared, but it's a case of the team itself is well, and I believe our captain was an Ulsterman too.
Yep, he was the 9th Maori captain and all. So there's the fact for you.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
I've actually played against him at tag rugby. I just want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a big guy, but I'll take it.
That's the attitude, mate.
Hope he's not watching this.
There, hello, Ian Gilbert, our Spanish ambassador in Madrid there, and of course our good friend Anne Copperate as Kenny joined in and said hello. We've also got Bernie Stewart and
he's a Wesley, by the way.
Hey,
yes.
And Mr. Johnny Wappa. I hope Mr. Brownfield's internet is in better shape this time around. Twitch's Gregor play game. If he paid the bill, that is.
I'm being subjected to abuse already.
Obviously, it's gone half scandal all the time because Nigel always called you. You can never keep them quiet.
Yeah. Hello there, Brew. Reggie, how's it going? Evening, gents. Hashtag down out, hashtag new beginnings. So that could be interesting. Of course, Ian, yeah, you're absolutely right. Good to see Gregor on that one.
Thanks, Ian. Adios.
And yes, there you go. He agrees. He had to give up the feed.
I'm still here.
And a big hello to our favorite, one of our favorites, Sam Curry. You're good for it, Chris.
I see. Yeah, there's Eduardo. Hello, Eduardo.
Hola.
Hello, and thanks for sharing it on the International Rugby page, and hello to everybody on that one as well. And of course, here we go, Chris.
There he is.
Bloody traitor, Ospreys fan.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually live in Cape Town, by the way. Just for
he follows more bloody teams than I'm not going to Keith Barways. He does actually follows more teams than Keith Barways.
Here, there's more wagons than an episode of Bonanza, for goodness sake. Come on here. Yeah, but here, speaking of the Ospreys, I was invited to have a quick chat with Darren from True Osprey about the game, and short and sweet and to the point. It was. Yeah, well, it was lovely to be invited on to put a wee contribution in on behalf of the guys here, and it's at True Osprey. True Osprey is the YouTube channel that he runs, and he's part of a gang of proper Osprey fans as well. And I just happened to get in contact with him after the game, and he asked me just to contribute a wee 2-minute piece for them. And it was lovely. It was great to get involved with everybody else, Dara Hayes there. Hey Dara, how are we, lads?
Monster, stand up and fight.
So, Mr. Tommy,
yes.
Davey, what did you actually say to your True Osprey? What was the general feedback?
Well, basically, they asked me for just a quick reaction piece to the game, and basically, I said we had more than enough chances to put them away, but some of our play was just so strange. We left it vulnerable, and obviously then they hit us with that drop goal, which I have to admit it was quite a good drop goal, but I actually thought that we had enough chances to win the game. Even to scrape it through.
Saw a post on Monday from another Ospreys fan who basically said that they enjoyed the win, they were grateful for it, but felt that they not sure how big a part they took in it themselves, which I think reflected probably more on what Ulster were doing or not doing. But we will come to that very shortly. We will, yeah. We will, but very Chris more teams than Barley's hardly.
Okay, well, look, guys. You know what? Before we hit the decks running with the review of the Ospreys game and where things went after that, I'm going to show everybody a little video, and I want to put a big thanks to Nikki Espahani from the URC for allowing us to use one of the Origin Round videos for tonight. Obviously, as part of the Origin Round, which was the game against the Ospreys, the URC produced 2 videos, one explaining what the Origin Rounds were about, but also showcasing some of the players who went from grassroots to the full teams and beyond. So I'm just going to throw this on for you. It'll be about a minute, and we'll be back very shortly.
I'm Jamie Ritchie from St Andrews in Scotland.
Josh Turnbull, Newcastle Emlyn.
Marshall Kutsia, Pretoria.
Alan O'Connor, Skerries.
Malakai Fikitoa, Whaleloa Hapai Tonga.
This weekend we come together to celebrate Origin Round.
A round dedicated to the parents, coaches, clubs and schools
who've helped us in our journey to the URC.
When we put on our jersey in Origin Round, it's something special.
From all of us at the URC, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the early mornings and late nights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the sacrifices you've made.
Diolch. Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Diabulela.
Okay, wow.
Absolutely fantastic, and just shows how diverse our championship is, and an absolutely fantastic wee video.
Can I remind some Ulster fans that have been posting about how disgraceful it was that Ulster didn't wear their club socks this weekend? It's rounds 10 and 11.
Yeah,
and they'll do it next time they're at home.
Yeah,
my God.
I suppose Leinster were the only club, I think, who wore the province socks, by the way. The club socks out of the provinces. I just want to say at the con and Munster fans who take note.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of the Munster fans, there you go. A wee reference to our good friend Keith Barwise.
He'll be hoping for an England win this weekend against the Scots.
Absolutely. Well, look, guys, it's time now to sharpen the knives, blunt the cutlery, and see where we go with this. Obviously, we had a game against the Ospreys, and needless to say, it was almost like going back into the twilight zone once again. With some of the play that happened, some of the errors, some of the discipline, and of course it's eventually left a couple of days later with our head coach Dan McFarland stepping down. First of all, guys, the game itself, summarize that for us there, Chris.
Okay, so from one of we had about 100 Ulster fans over for it. So from the stadium perspective, the first 40 minutes, neither side actually showed up. The first 40 minutes was literally just that classic term we use in arm wrestle. No one was going anywhere, no real meters made, no real shape to the game. Obviously, Henry went off really early with that dislocated toe, following that scrum. When, to be fair, the Osprey scrum was demolishing us. As from what we could see in the stats, the dominance in there was absolutely immense. And already in the first half, very early on, our guys were like, "Well, why is Kitsy not on?" He was brought in to stabilize our scrum. And we're like, "Well, we can't play him all the time. Let's be honest. He can't play 80 minutes every other week. That's just not going to happen." So obviously we went in the sheds at halftime. leading, and I did get a text message from one of the stalwart Ulster fans in the onesie clan, and the message was, for the name of God, we've gone on leading, never a good sign, because this season, if we've gone in ahead, it hasn't gone well for us at the final whistle. So the writing was kind of on the wall from stage one. So at the Sheds, everyone was the stadium was really mooted in the first half. It was really, really unusual. I know some would say for the Ospreys, the Liberty Stadium, Swansea.com is quite mooted anyway. But we came off the Sheds. Second half, there was far, far more spectacle of rugby, shall we say. Let's put it that way. More chances going each way. Going back to Nigel's point, without doubt, Ulster Rugby left too many points untouched. We're aware at Stockdale, obviously failed to dot that ball down. Do you know what? If he was going to get anywhere near that was simply an unachievable effort, and he got close enough to it. But anyway, so we then went in. Second half, far more going on, far more play, far more expansive rugby. Obviously, we had that really, really wide pass, which led to the intercept. And to be fair, the lone fella took off like a scalded cat. Our flyers couldn't get anywhere near him. He then stumbled over his own feet. That allowed us to literally get back on him again. And then from that point, his play from the floor into the hand, there was so many players backing him to the hilt. I think he had 4, 2 either side of him flanking him. He just popped it in the hands, and they just ran that one straight in. And then obviously towards the end of the game management just went away from us. We put, Jake Flannery put that 50-meter stunning kick over from the 50-meter line, and then, well, to be fair, the 40-meter drop goal afterwards, deserved to win the game. But I think I've got this real problem at the minute in that we're not taking the 3 points when they're an offer.
Agreed.
It's almost like we feel compelled that we have to go and take the attempt at the 7 every single time. And I've got this thing that we should be winning the game first and then play for the scoreline afterwards.
Agreed.
I don't know if we've got an inflated confidence with Dragon Ball from last season with forms for the mental rise. But that's not happening. I think teams have got us worked out on our forward play to that extent. And I think, was it 12 points we didn't take? Good.
Yep.
It was a hard watch, and I've got to say, fair play to the Osprey supporters. It's probably the most vocal I have ever heard. The Liberty /Swansea.com stadium. There was, they deserved it in the end. They absolutely played their part, and the guys stayed in it right to the death and took a chance really well.
Mm-hmm. Nigel, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a continuation from the Harlequins game, frankly. Now, I'm going to explain that because Richard and I are going to disagree a little here. I watched that Harlequins game about 3 times, and the reason I did it was because I was absolutely baffled about what I'd watched. I couldn't make head nor tail of it. And I came to a conclusion that I was really discussing with you earlier tonight, and I think we saw it again in the Ospreys game. Some players played their socks off. Some players didn't. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to go that way. That's for other people to do because I don't think anybody goes out to lose a game. But for me, some players really played their socks off and some players didn't. And I think we saw that again against the Ospreys. And I'm beginning to wonder, and I'm going to just throw the question out there, is there a split in the group of players? Never mind between the players and the coach. And I'm just going to refer to Richard's point. And I'm going to make an equivalence with the French team. The French team were so close to getting into a semi-final in the World Cup, and I think had they done that, they might have won a home World Cup. They have fallen off a cliff since then. They've been terrible to watch. They've not played good rugby. There's obviously something not right in that camp. But here's where the difference is for me. You look at that 15 or 23 that turn out for France, and virtually every one of them have achieved major honours in rugby. They've been involved in teams that have won the last 4 Champions Cups. Wow. They've won 6 nations. I mean, these guys are at the top of their game. And frankly, if they lose face with their coach, I listen to them. Ulster players can't claim that. They've not won anything, yet they keep losing confidence in the coaches. I think if you come from a position of performance, silverware, and you've got the CV, you will be listened to. We're seeing the same cycle repeat here, where apparently the players have lost confidence in the coach. Is it not maybe coaches lost confidence in the players? And by the way, before I don't know if we're going to discuss Dan in particular, but I personally wish Dan McFarland the very best in the future, and I thank him for his time.
I think on behalf of the whole Whitewalkers crew, we wish Dan the very best.
We're here again. I mean, look, this is the exact same thing that happened in 2018. It happened back in McCall's days, where the coach just gets the blame. Oh, well, the coach gets the blame. The coach gets the blame. Show me another club at this level where this repeats itself, and I'll call you a liar. There isn't one.
Yeah, actually,
and it's not rocket science, gents. You look for the common factors in every one. What was there before? What was there the last time? What was there the last time? The constant that keeps dragging this thing up, where the teams seem to be. Do you know that game against Harlequins and a bit the game against Ospreys? It reminded me of the Edinburgh game in 2018. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. The drop goal, wasn't it?
Away to Edinburgh, when the players just went out on the pitch and just didn't play, and they didn't look like they wanted to play. I think there'd been an altercation.
You were about the Edinburgh at home when Weir dropped the goal.
That's right. I think there'd been an altercation between a couple of coaches on the training pitch the day before as well, which led to them being stood down, as I recall. And that game against Harlequins and a little bit the Ospreys game, it just reminded me of that game. Yeah. And I thought, what is it that allows professional players or motivates professional players or unmotivates professional players to go out onto a pitch and perform like that? There's just no heart. It's like the energy's been sucked out of them. Is that the coach? No. Is it other elements within the club? At that time there was a split in the squad. I remember that. It looks to me like it's there again, because we're seeing some players, and you got to name the highlighters. Nick Timoney just played out of his socks. John Creed just played out of his socks every week, even when the passes were going awry, when this is happening, when that's happening. Those guys have stood up. And some guys have been flicking the ball wide, flicking it long. They've been kicking it about. I'm sorry, that's not a squad. That's not a team. I think it's a few very good individuals trying to keep the team going, frankly, kind of keep the team moving. I'm failing because you need the whole squad on board.
Well, let me pose this one then to you. Rob Balogun. Obviously, he's made it clear that he's interested in going to the Olympics this year. What's your take on? And I'll start with you, Gregor. What would you think of Balogun joining the Irish guys with the Olympics?
It's pretty good. It would be good for him, legit, because I seem like they're going to do one province player, but who do you pick from all the other provinces? Do you go with somebody like Sexton, for example, who's played sevens, or Balogun has done it? Do you pick somebody who's not done it, or does it? I just want to shout out somebody who's Megan Augusta. She's Nick Timoney's biggest fans. Just want to shout her out. She's Nick Timoney. Yeah, she always shouts about him. She's always her biggest fan. Just want to shout her out for
that. You wonder, is he? He is a sevens player, and he came back in, and we were talking about this earlier on. You wonder sometimes, is he maybe thinking of going out in the sevens to get a break from this? And I believe actually Nick Timoney expressed an interest in it as well. But it's just the whole thing about Ulster, and it's been there for a long time. And David, I agree with you. It only takes one bad apple to ruin the barrel. But we keep picking the same apple. We keep picking the same bloody apple. And we're not looking beyond that or elsewhere and saying, is something else at play here? Is somebody else doing this now?
Well, was it time to chop the tree down?
I'll tell you what surprised me. I was the one I actually predicted that Neil Doak would get the interim coach. I just had it in my bones. He's going to get it. And I'm nothing against Neil Doak, but I don't think he was a good coach, and I'm glad he's not been appointed. I think Richie Murphy is a very good appointment, and I was listening to Andy Farrell talking about him today, and he went through quite a few things, and it seems to me that this is Richie Murphy's job to lose. unless somebody else screws it up for him. But frankly, I think he wants this. I think he's got the CV for it, and I think the IRFU, who Johnny Watley has rightly said on others, he's been flown into the IRFU. This is an IRFU move, okay? So that's a good move, and I hope they appoint our new boss man, Mr. Humphreys, to maybe have a closer look at Ulster, because he'd have a damn good idea where things are going wrong, wouldn't he? I mean, let's be honest. I always think of his words when he left Ulster. I thought they were the most telling words from a director of rugby he was at the time. I can take this province no further.
Yeah.
That was a telling statement even way back then. I can take this province no further. The coach says that. Yeah. You know, was he saying the players aren't good enough? I don't think he was saying that. Is he saying that the structure of this club just doesn't permit me to take this any further?
So Nigel,
whatever.
So Nigel, we're saying that obviously Dan McFarland was 5.5 years, so he's the longest reigning Ulster coach in the modern era, right? So we know we've had McLaughlin, we've had Humphreys, we've had McCall. We can go through our lovely friend who got lost on the way to La Rochelle, on the way to New Zealand, John O'Gibbs, right? We can go through all those, right? So if we look back over that 20-year window since 1999, 25 years, okay, what's the one thing that's the constant across that 25-year window? Because that must be the problem.
It could be one person, but I struggle to think of anybody that's been there that long, unless you're talking about maybe executive committee, but I don't even know. Yeah. Or it could be a group. It could be you don't know what little groups there are within groups.
We know there are organizations that sort of manage players within the group, and and that would be pretty much a constant that's been there the best part of 25 years.
Well, maybe then in that case, I'm going to put it out here. We're looking at guys with links to Ulster, guys like Ryan Constable, even our executive, the man in charge of signing the people, Bryn Cunningham. Even Bryn, he's been there, he knows the system. But is it a case of do we prune all the apples off the tree, let the tree regrow, and just freshen everything up?
What we maybe do, David, is look for different apples to prune instead of pruning the same ones all the time, because all I see here is what fans have called for and all that. And this goes back, my God, the call for Mark McCall's head, because some of the same fans called for Mark McCall to come back. Well, wake up, folks. He's chased about. There's no chance of him coming back. Plus, his stock is a bit above where Ulster are at the minute, frankly. There's no chance of him coming back. He may come back for the Ireland job, but he's not going to come back for the Ulster job.
I think that's only the wish. That would only be the wish. The prawn sandwich brigade would only be wishing for that now.
Well, we know there's that, what we call the prawn sandwich brigade, and it's maybe Johnny Watt was saying there's maybe too much of an in crowd there, too many people that are too close, controlling things, running things, and we don't know what we don't know. But all I can tell you is whatever it is, it's been there for an awful long time, right? And we keep getting rid of coaches. And then the whole bloody cycle repeats again. And it literally is repeating. And as I said, there's no other club I can think of at this level has gone through this recycling trouble. Oh, let's get rid of the coach. Oh, let's get rid of him. Right, that's okay. Let's get him in. It's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable in a professional setup.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Is it possible that Ulster Rugby on cycle are literally punching above their weight year in, year out by getting in the European Champions Cup?
No.
Are we a truly Champions Cup side, or are we a Champions Cup side?
I think we're punching well below our weight, and I think it's the influences within Ulster Rugby are causing that. It's like something's holding us back. We have the players. We see when that Ulster team go out and play really, really well. My God, they were beating Toulouse last season. We went away to La Rochelle and came within a point of a win. We're punching below our weight for the squad we've got, frankly, and we've been doing that for a long time.
Right. So then the Ulster fans, in your opinion, have got a right to demand that we are sitting top four every year, because John and Bradley have this discussion. Do Ulster Rugby qualify in the mindset of being guaranteed Champions Cup running? Do they?
Nobody's guaranteed. Nobody's got. I mean, I saw a piece that a journalist did last week saying that Ulster have no God-given right to be in the Champions Cup every year. Well, for a start, who said we did?
Yeah.
Who said we did? Nobody has a God-given right to be in the Champions Cup. You qualify for it, and it's just It's just ridiculous. I mean, what was the point of that? What was the point of that? Yes, fans do expect it. Fans expect. And fans' expectations tend to be quite often over and above what the team can actually achieve. But listen, we get to knockout games and just fall apart. You know, we haven't got out of the group this time around. And as I said, this year I watched that Harlequins game, and that's the conclusion I came to, Chris and lads, because I couldn't come to any other conclusion. I was so baffled by what I watched in that game. The amount of possession we had, the amount of scoring chances we could have won that game. And then we stood back and watched them run up the pitch and score, and I went, what is going on here? You know, but some players were really going for it and going, but some players were standing really, they were ball watching, and I was like, what is going on? And to me, that's not a cohesive squad.
That's been the tail of the tape all season for us. You know, look at like Dave Shanahan last weekend at Ospreys. Shanahan's come on with 15 minutes out, and he played his absolute socks off. He stopped a sure try opportunity by dumping on big fellas or dragging him in a touch. You know, and you're absolutely right. There are some who are absolutely standing up for the badge, and then there are the others who want the badge to come to them. I'm making you a bit of a loss, really.
I just can't explain that performance. I can't accept to say that there were players just not interested, but some were. And if you've got players that are performing really well in the game and other players who aren't, that tells me they're not together because they're not at the same level. They're not playing at the same level. And, you know, I think Dan put a few hints out during the week about training, didn't he? I mean, that was an astonishing thing for a coach to say. That the training hadn't gone particularly well. We didn't train well on a particular day. Why? You know, maybe he didn't want to say why or whatever. I mean, he looked busted before the game on Sunday. The camera actually
had a 10-yard stare, didn't he?
10-yard stare, and I thought the picture had frozen. I honestly did, but then you could see the movement, and he was just given a 10-yard stare for about 30 seconds, and I thought, what is he looking at? Who is he looking at? And but that was right then. I thought we're in trouble here. That he's busted. Yeah. And then the game played, and half the players looked busted too. So there's something really badly wrong there. And yes, I know, and we've had all the fans going, but we get rid of Dan. That's it. We're sorted.
We're not.
No, we're not.
But sadly, going back to the Prawn Sandwich Brigade, you know, those guys aren't going to stop it down, are they?
They're going to sign off the new coach.
It's going to be very interesting to see how they scupper it for the new coach, because this lad is, frankly, he's got a bloody good CV. He's the best under-20s coach Ireland have ever had. Back-to-back Grand Slams. I listened to Andy Farrell talking about it because he's worked with him. He actually worked in the national system before he became under-20s coach. Wow. And he said, this lad knows the game inside out. His coaching techniques are fantastic. He's absolutely brilliant. And he's an IRFU appointment as well, by the way. He's an IRFU. He's a plant, if you like. If the prawn sandwich brigade might call, he's a plant. Yeah. And I would say, if you're going to try and scupper it for him, good luck to you, because you might expose yourself, you know. Because there's something that's been missed. And I don't care what anybody says. There's something in Ulster that's been missed the last time, probably the time before as well. And we're just doing it again.
Now, here's an interesting one. Now, Richard put out something interesting here, and I just want to put it up here for you guys. Richard says, fans buy tickets which help pay the wages, fans buy shirts which support the overall operations, and fans should expect their club, who's absolutely stacked with talent, to perform. Now, we are well aware that Ulster Rugby have been operating at a quite a severe loss in the last season because of, obviously, frozen pitch gate, which cost them about $1 million. But obviously, you know, there's other things as well. Restrictions.
You had COVID for 2 years, then you had frozen gate pitch. There's been a lot of things. You've had the cost of living rises. Look, we're a small club. It was always going to hurt us. It always was. And I think we can, you know, we lost over £700,000 on that La Rochelle game alone. You know, I mean, that accounts for an awful big chunk of the losses from that season. So, you know, it's you know, yes, we've got to turn around. Yes, we've got to improve it. And Richard's right. Fans buy the merchandise. They pay for the tickets. They expect results. I agree with that. I don't go to an Ulster game and think we're going to lose. I go to an Ulster game and think, come on, lads, let's beat these buggers. Like, this season.
Well, what do you think, Gregor?
Expect anything, you know?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I predicted an Ospreys win before the game. I said to people that you, I predicted an Ospreys win just because of what they believe in. He said to.
Gregor, can I just say, I had a 17-37 win bolted on for us.
Wow.
I was convinced our lads were going to roll in and absolutely put them to the sword.
So,
and I absolutely gobsmacked by the first half. And then, just watching the game slip away. And
you're absolutely right, Chris. By the way, the first half, I don't think either team played particularly well.
Yeah, I was working on Sunday and I skipped the first 38 minutes or something.
Look at you. I was sat in the B row thinking I should be back in the Z row where the bar is.
The thing is, I'm going forward. We're all talking about Dan and about who replaced him, Richie Murphy. And as I say, I think Richie Murphy has a very, very solid shout at this job. I really do. I mean, somebody pretty extraordinary would have to come up to replace him. A lot of people talking about Ruan Pienaar. I think Ruan recently said he would love to come back to Ireland. That's a possibility down the road, but I think he's still looking after his sister's family a bit, isn't he, at the minute, or something? He's still, yeah. So, but that's a possibility.
But he's been mooted as a buy-in as a coach either at Cheetahs or on the South African side, hasn't he?
Cheetahs, isn't it?
Yeah. Casper would know. Casper would know better.
Yeah, and people want to talk about Jared Payne as a head coach, and I believe Bernard Jackman's been touting him as the replacement coach. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, as a coach, maybe as assistant head coach, perhaps. I'm not sure about giving him the top job yet because he hasn't done that. And frankly, there's him and Dwayne Peel who did very well here. They're having a complete mare at Scarlets. There's a whole lot of reasons.
Yeah, there's a whole different reason for that going on about they lost so many top players due to the salary cap, and
I get that. But that won't change the CV, Chris.
Yeah, Jared said it's a 5-year plan. They're looking at kids who are like 19 and bringing them through. Academy kids have now gone straight into the first side, and it is a real 5-year window. But I think if we went back, and I said this to Susie earlier, I believe if Ulster appointed Jared Payne or Ruan as head coach, you'd be back to the same statement. It's job for the boys again. I think Ulster have got to look outside of the province completely and find someone brand spanking new with fresh.
Well, where do you look to? Do you go to South Africa, Australia, or New Zealand? Or
no, you go to Richie Murphy. I honestly think he's got a big crack at it, and I think unless something goes badly wrong for him, I think he'll get the gig. I think he'll get the gig. He is a head coach. And he'll be the first head coach we've appointed who is a head coach for a long time.
But he's not an Ulsterman, is he? No. So they've gone outside of the Ulster framework, luckily.
But he's coming into a framework that's full of Ulstermen, and is that the problem?
7 games he's got. I read 7 games he's got to try to prove himself.
That's right. I read that. Rugby Pass has said that he's got.
But outside of that, the rest of them are Ulster from head to foot, aren't they? Yeah. Top down.
Well, here we got one here from Mark Hunter. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Jesus. Ouch. He's absolutely right, though.
Yeah.
Johnny Watt was put one up there. Dan Soper should be the interim. Well, Dan Soper is the interim. He'll be taking over the Dragons game.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good possibility that Dan Soper will stay. Possibly as assistant coach. I think the players like him. I think he goes down well in the club. I think he will stay. That's what the Oilers.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Big man.
Oh, Joe. I agree with Joe.
Joe for Prime Minister.
Oh, absolutely.
Gerald's put up a comment there, and I think I'm broadly on board with Gerald. That I think there could be issues that have not yet been looked at within the setup or structure of Ulster Rugby that are allowing influences that do not lead to motivational rugby within the team. And Richie Murphy, I think, should be given a good crack at it. It sounds like he wants it, and I'm quite happy to see him come in actually as an interim coach. And if he does a good job, why not? I mean, we're constantly getting these coaches that we're a forwards coach here, a backs coach there, or they help somebody on a big team. We're not getting the quality of coaches at all that the likes of Leinster or Munster get. And whilst that might be understandable, the coaching ticket is very important. but the coaching ticket has to have the power to do what coaches do without interference.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll fire one out here. How about instead of looking outside the box, how about we look at a different box altogether and look at our own leagues, or Division 1, Division 1A, 1B. There are coaches there who would have an absolute cracker of a shot at it. Put them into a transition, or a mentorship role,
assistant head coach, or a forwards or backs,
and see whether they progress or not. And at least then we can say, well, look, our teams are here. We've got coaches. We've got very good coaches. Why can't we not give them a chance?
That's a damn good shout. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but those pathways. Now, Davey, I'm going to chuck something else in completely different, right? And it's I've got this thing, right? So I've had this banded around my head for a wee while, right? So we know, whether people like to accept it or not, that the Irish camp is Dublin centric. Now that's obvious because of how well performing Leinster are, and you can't get away from that, right? And that'll be the way for quite some time. So we think with the downtime that Andy Farrell will have between international opportunities, and obviously now forget that because of the British and Irish Lions. But if you look at Leinster are getting top class coaching from within Leinster. You can't say anything else about Neil Collins' team there, right? And then they get such massive exposure to the international coaching ticket that it's only doubling up on what they already know. And I'm sort of thinking, surely the IRFU have a duty to sort of say, right, here you are, Andy, take 2 weeks off and head up to Connacht and give 2 weeks of your knowledge and wisdom. Yeah. Oh my God, Johnny's on it. 2 weeks, sometime in the year in Ulster, 2 weeks down in Munster, and actually share that Dublin-centric extreme skill set with our international coaches.
It's probably not a bad idea, Chris, but it's the thing about the way professional rugby is set up. It's a self-feeding cycle.
It is.
So Leinster have got good coaches. They've got 9 sample contracts. So they've got more money. They've got more money than the other provinces because they get 9 players paid for. So they can afford to bring in lots of other players. They've got a really good academy system that's largely privately funded as well because they've managed to tap into the college systems there. It's actually pretty smart what they've done. I'm not sure we could emulate it up here because the private money probably isn't there. But, it's the envy of the rugby world. It really is. But it's self-feeding because, as you say, Chris, they've got the best coach in Ireland, in Colin Nairn. They've got the most money to recycle players and bring those players on and on and on because they're without their first team quite a lot, so they have to bring another team on, and it's difficult to break into that. It always has been difficult to break into an Ireland team. Having said that, that's the Ireland conundrum. I'm not bothered about that at all. I don't care about that, and that's not because I don't like Ulster players in a green shirt. Of course I do. It means more to me if I see the players I follow every week playing in a green shirt. But it's their dream, not mine, right? So Ireland's in good shape, with or without the Ulster players. So great. I still support Ireland on Saturday, regardless of who's in it. But the bottom line is you've got to perform to have a chance. You've got to perform to have a chance.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say it here. Johnny Wappa, that is the line of the evening.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely, without doubt. Maybe they should book those guys in for the Kingspan. You could fill it. Absolutely fill it. 18,000.
I'm gonna do a helicopter.
Oh my goodness, no! That could be a test. Oh goodness me.
Get that pin.
For those who don't know, good old Devonish Bar Belfast.
The Devonish Bar in Belfast was very famous.
What Chris was saying is absolutely correct because the financially itself serves itself. They're also availing of the international training. And we always talk about international as a step up from provincial, so they're getting the best training all the time, and it feeds itself. It's hard to break that. But the bottom line is Ulster have to play better.
That big of an issue.
It's all kicking off now.
We lost Gregor GALWAY here.
No.
Here. But no.
I appreciate what Cheryl said there that Andy Farrell spends a bit of time with provincial coaches. I think Andy Farrell needs to spend 2 to 3 weeks with each provincial region Is what I'm saying. I appreciate the coaches do work with Andy Farrell and stuff. I just think we need to share that skill.
Even David Nusafora didn't get himself around the provinces. He was doing it from an office, watching videos, and I hope that David Humphreys will get around the provinces more. I reckon all of them, and see what's happening and have a look at the structure. Because he's the one that's got to bring players out and put them where they need to be.
He'll get in contact with the coaches and say, "Listen, what do we need in place?" That's what he'll do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely, Gregor. Spot on. There was something else coming to my head again. I was thinking once more, Johnny, what, and I forgot again.
Actually, I'll put something out there. The one thing that I think we do need to chat about is the role of the media. In what's occurred over the last couple of days, guys. I know that some media outlets in particular have been very, very negative, and maybe I followed a few of the prawns and their harrying of McFarland and also our CEO, Mr. Petrie. And I have to admit, I did catch that column from Stephen Ferris, which I thought was an absolute load of tripe. And I'm being very polite about that. It was the way I look at it is the media. Yes, they can write whatever they want and they can criticize whoever they want to, within reason. But surely they've took that too far, in terms of the criticism of McFarland and Petrie. What's your guys' thoughts on this?
Watch the same guy do it with Les Kiss prior. It's just repeat again. Here we go. The cycle repeats. I see nothing different.
So I've had multiple discussions on just about every platform, whether or not it was Twitter/X, whether it was Facebook, whether it was LinkedIn. I've had multiple interactions, and I was getting to the stage where I was going to withdraw from social media for a while because I was getting so angry about it. And the way I put it to people is, so DT, you're calling people out. You want Nigel sacked. You're demanding Nigel is sacked from work. And I went back and said, DT, well, would you appreciate the public, humiliating you on a social media platform in front of millions of people, calling for you to be axed, calling for your career to be compromised going forward, but more importantly, possibly putting you in a financial situation where you can't support your family, your property, maybe having upheaval, moving away to try and clear your head, and just think about people's mental health, not even just the vitriol hatred stuff, the long-term impact that has on somebody. I know people are saying it's a case of you just black out the white noise. Johnny Petrie tried that. Johnny Petrie tried blacking out the white noise, but it gets through it, but it kicks down that door. And I don't think people really understand the consequences of the nature of their commentary. And I think if they just tone it back, if they type it and then walk away and 24 hours later go back and think, I can actually hit send. I don't know. I get really upset.
Can I just give a quick answer to Des Nixon's question, which you put up there? Yes, Des is a short answer. Yes.
I'm going to be honest. He was one of the people who called Dan McFarland out. So he was one of the people in the group I'm in, Nigel. He's one of the people who called him out in the first place.
Who's that?
Dan Nixon. I'm going to be honest. He's in the group with me. He called him out. So,
well, that's okay then. Well, then he's going to contradict his own point then. Look, at the end of the day, people, there's just this simplistic view within Ulster fandom that, well, A, a lot of them know more about rugby than anybody that's ever actually run a club. I don't. I freely admit that. B, that it's always down to one man, one person. It very seldom is. And a large group like that, it very seldom is. One person can start the rot, but they need other people on board to make it stick. Okay? There's not one person who's going to go in there and cause that mess. That's a group of people causing that mess. I'm sorry. And frankly, Des or anybody else, we can sack Dan. Like we sack Martin Cole, like we sack Les Kiss. And we can just keep doing that. And then when the same thing happens again, maybe more of us will start saying, why does this keep happening? Why our club? Why not everywhere else? Because it doesn't happen anywhere else. It only happens here. And so yeah, it's a deeper rooted problem. And I don't really care who the coach is here. I guarantee you there will be fans or media or ex-players calling for their heads after 3 or 4 years. I'd nearly put money on it, no matter who it is. No matter who it is. Well, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, ones that they approve of.
Yeah.
I was going to say, can I just give a shout out to the women's Celtic Cup coming up to Kingspan?
Oh, absolutely.
Because we need them. People get out to support the Wolfhounds, the Clovers, because we need the women's game supporting it.
Yeah, for sure.
And absolutely, as Chris said and last one, yeah, if you haven't been to see a women's game at the Kingspan, get there and get supporting them, because the rugby is excellent.
That's really
absolutely.
It's come on so much in the last 10 years, hasn't it? I mean, I'll be honest with you, and ladies, I do apologize. I remember watching the Six Nations game years ago and just thinking, wow, this is the way to go, and I apologize for that. But it was in its infancy, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't watch another game seriously, and it was a Six Nations. I watched the whole Six Nations, and I was absolutely astounded at how far the ladies' game had come. It was just unbelievable, the skill level, the speed of it, and it's a serious product now. The women's game, a serious product.
I've heard a good one from Johnny Wappa. Anybody watch The Whistleblower?
Yes,
it's the referee's documentary. It appeared up on Rugby Pass.
I'll tell you, Johnny, I'd be interested in your views on this. Do pundits and the media encourage that abuse? Do you think, from fans particularly, because that's where the worst abuse comes from? Do they encourage it with their own commentary?
Nigel, maybe they do. Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from that, but I'm going to say, if anyone is qualified to make a comment about a poor performance, surely it's someone who is a British and Irish Lion, is an international captain, has played the game at professional level. But I agree with you. Some of their comments go over and above acceptable level. But I think I'm more likely to take, if Craig GALWAY said such and such in a bad game and actually pointed out where he went wrong, I would take that all day. But with some numpty sat at the keyboard who has never even so much as run out in a pitch once, who starts calling players out and battering them, I've got a different take on that. I think. I think some of professional commentators.
Well, I'm gonna. I mean, you mentioned Craig GALWAY, and this is a different thing. Comment he made on Sunday, and he's one of the pundits now. He's been released from the shackles of the playing squad, is starting to say what he feels, and it's pretty evident he was anti-Dan, to me anyway. Sings up the praises of Dan Sopra, I'll have to say, but hasn't got a lot to say about Dan. And he said something to me, not to me. He said something on the after the game, or was it during? It might have been half time. And he said the players need more of an input. It's too strict. Totally agree with that. By the way, I don't think the Joe Schmidt thing would work at a club level, and it didn't work in Ireland forever either. Let's be honest. But you can't be that critical. You've got to allow the players to express themselves a bit. But with a balance, you still have to, like Andy Farrell said, the game plan is there as a revert to, is to get the basics right, is to keep the core of the shape of the team. But yes, I do want players to express themselves, right? But then he said something that really caught me, and he said, all the successful teams I played in were player-led.
Yeah.
The first question that came to my head was, what teams were those then, Gilly? What have you won, Gilly? What have you won?
Leinster, probably.
This goes back to the Leinster final where we got absolutely humiliated by them. Yeah, okay, that's a high bar. But look, as I said about the French guys earlier, if those French players are unhappy, you take a little more heat because they've achieved at the top level and won most cups. The Ulster players can't claim that. They don't have the same credence, Well, maybe good for a conveyance or a will, but
here, what? I think we're gonna have an absolute ball this one. I think this one's gonna rule for a wee while.
Well, just remember as well, guys. This is the first announcement. Okay, if the reports are true and we don't really spoke about it, we've got players that we're going to have to let go of, possibly a few more staff. You can see there are going to be coaching changes. There's no doubt about that. So it'll be interesting to see who those coaches are, what size of squad we've got.
Can we just go back one right to where you said about there should be player changes? There was obviously with words of Will Allison. I mean, I think that's a done deal. I think Will is going to go back to Sale Sharks. where he was previously captain, it was being mooted that we may well get Kieran Frawley coming in. So they were talking about Billy. That was all off the back of the Billy Burns discussion, right?
Another one that's come out was Sam Prendergast. So, you know, the names are being bandied about like that's the media again.
Well, if we're going to lose Billy Burns, we need an absolute out 10.
First and foremost, though, the player has to be prepared to move and have a go at it, right? The one thing I don't want to see is 3 Leinster 10s being waited and saying one of you has to go to Ulster. We had that before, didn't we? And that's not going to work because he's going to be forced up. He'll have a go, but his heart won't be in it. It's got to be. I'm not saying they're going to come up, pull on a white shirt, and go stand up for the Ulster. You know what I mean? But they're professional players. They're going to play for the shirt that's paying them. And if we get a guy who wants to come up and do that, fantastic. I do not want to see anybody coerced or forced to come in. As in, if you want to play 10, you need to go to Ulster. That won't work.
So if they come up, Nige, are they literally forgoing their Ireland shirt? Is that a risk?
Well, it has been in the past, hasn't it?
Yeah. Are you literally signing your shirt off?
I think it's slightly different for a younger player though, because you know it's allowing them to develop and play 10 on a regular basis at provincial and club level and at European level. So I think for a young player, I think if it's a player later in his years, he's probably consigning his international career to the bin. And that's
Jody Murphy was a classic example when he came up. Jody Murphy,
he came up and he hardly played for Ireland again. So I think, and that actually probably puts a bit of fear into a Leinster player who's being offered the chance to come up north. They're probably going, well, if I go up there, look what happened to the rest of the guys that went up there, you know. So, that's bound to be a factor. Hey, listen, again, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care about the Ireland thing because they're in great shape, with or without us. If they're involved, great. If we're not there, great. Don't care about Ireland. They're doing great. Ireland are not a problem. Ulster are the problem. All right. And actually, the bottom line is if we start winning games and start performing, then we will be paid more attention by the IRFU, the Ireland selectors. You cannot blame Andy Farrell. Now, we know there's players in that team good enough to play in the Ireland squad, but the team's been abjectly awful this season. Yeah. So you can't blame Andy Farrell for saying there's something wrong there. I don't want that creeping into my camp. You know, so.
Yeah, and actually, there's a nice comment there. I just want to run back one little point to Ian Gilbert's point about just how good Dan McFarland was when he joined us. Because don't forget, we were, according to Brian O'Driscoll, a basket case when Dan first came in. So yeah, great point, Ian. Absolutely applaud you for that point. Really.
I mean, and Des made the point about past the sell-by date. I mean, there probably is a period of time where you need to start thinking about moving on and making changes. I agree with that. Do I think that's what happened with Dan? No. Just like I don't think that's what happened with Les Kiss. I don't think that's what happened with Mark McCall. I don't think that's what happened with Mark Anscombe for different reasons, obviously. But all these managers have been pushed out the door, and there's been players involved in all of them. Yeah. So who's driving the players to do that? And it's not all the players. You know, it's not all the players. Anscombe was a group of players. Les Kiss was a group of players. It looks to me like Dan McFarland has been pushed out over a group of players. Where are these groups appearing from? Who's creating them?
Yeah.
You know, so, if we don't change that, we're just going to repeat the cycle. Yeah. I think the IRFU needs to step in, which they've done, but they need to step in big time now. And I think they need to get the likes of David Humphries to have a serious look at Ulster and say, where is this going wrong?
Well, I think over the next couple of months, I think we're gonna see that happen anyway. Unfortunately, guys, I'm afraid the clock has turned red on us.
No way.
Absolutely. No, exactly. Here, time flies when you're having fun. Here, Chris.
I'm going for a drop goal. I'm going for a last-minute drop goal.
Go for it there. Go on, drop one in quick. Any other business, guys?
Any other business?
What do you think the score will be on Saturday?
Ireland by bonus point, 50.
Oh, God, yeah, without a doubt. I think Scotland will retain the Calcutta Cup. Will beat France. And, guys, just while we're on very quickly, can we just say big shout-out for Simon Carey and the team that are going to Montpellier. They're setting up a fan zone in O'Carlin's and Fitzpatrick's, I think it is. They're brothers who own 2 bars in Montpellier. O'Carlin's is the official fan zone for that fixture Montpellier, and Fitzpatrick is the and they're doing discounted beers and wines and all sorts of stuff down there. So big shout out.
Johnny Watt was for Dundalk on Saturday, so he is. It looks like because he's asking for somebody to go with him. I think that's what.
There we go.
Take your helicopter with you, Johnny. You'll be doing well.
No. Right, lads. Well, look, we're gonna have to call time on this one for this month. Like, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Gregor, for coming back. It's great to have you back on again, and definitely we're gonna have you back on soon. Look, remember, guys, if there's anything you want covered on the show, get in touch with us. Put a comment on the page, and we'll have a wee look, and we'll get back to you and let you know what we can do. Also, go to the Speedball Rugby group page on Facebook and on YouTube. We're now on Instagram and Twitter. So give us a wee like, give us a wee subscribe. And we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So the podcast list will be up either later on or first thing in the morning. Leave a review, and we will answer any questions that you've got. So from the three of us, thank you very much for watching. We will bring you more of the best of the Ulster men and women and the Six Nations, and also hopefully in our next show that we'll have round 11, the other Origin round, and obviously we'll keep an eye on everything from grassroots to the URC. But I'm going to finish tonight with the other video that the URC produced for the Origin round, and we'll put that up shortly. But from me, from Chris, Gregor GALWAY, and the Night King, who has seemingly disappeared somewhere.
Early night for him. There he comes.
And he's back. What happened there? Yeah, you disappeared on me. But
great chat. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, but on behalf of the team here, thank you very much for watching, and have a good evening.
Stand up for the Ulster man.
Yeah.
Benvenuti to the United Rugby Championships Origin round.
Across rounds 10 and 11, the URC comes together to celebrate the diverse backgrounds and grassroots clubs with players and fans. The URC encompasses 16 super clubs in 5 nations across 2 continents. Over 600 players play here, hailing from 17 different countries from all corners of the globe. Our league spans urban cities and rural communities. From the wild Atlantic coast of Galway to the bohemian streets of Glasgow to the tropics of Gordons Bay at the very tip of Africa. URC's Origin Round is a celebration of this diversity, providing a spotlight to celebrate the junior clubs, schools, parents, coaches and volunteers who helped players on their journey to the URC. More than a league, we form a community united by rugby and strengthened by the power of our differences.
Join us for Origin Round and show your pride for your local team, club or community. Baie dankie.